Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Just Like You show. I am your host, Alexis Christine, and I am a spiritual mindset coach and Reiki master, helping women break through their limiting beliefs, rewire their brain, and manifest the life of their dreams. Just Like You is a podcast for all of the divine souls looking for guidance on their healing and ascension journey. We explore the depths of the universe, hold space for vulnerable conversations about spirituality and self-development, delve into the esoteric things like how to manifest, star seeds, the astral realm, and shed light on taboo topics such as plant medicine and so much more. I am honored that you are here to take this journey with me. I want everyone listening to be able to leave each episode feeling inspired and having learned something tangible to take away into their day-to-day life. If you feel called to work with me or explore this work deeper, please reach out at imalexischristine.com or you can DM me on Instagram at iam.alexischristine. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Just Like You show. I'm your host, Alexis Christine. I'm sure you can probably hear it in my voice, but I am having my own little LC moment at the moment. I am just getting over a little bit of a cough, and I'm not at 100% yet, but I am feeling so much better than I was. I literally never, ever get sick. Like, I make jokes that I have just the best immune system in the world and that nothing can infiltrate me. So I was really caught off guard. I've only been sick for 3 days and I'm already getting better. So it obviously didn't last very long, but I think my body was just so run down. I've been doing so much. I've not been eating properly, not really been nourishing myself. And my body just said, you know what? This is it. We're going to show you that you need to take a break and that you need to give us the proper nutrients. So here I am. I'm back, coming back to life a little bit, but I thought I would take this opportunity to talk about how to turn healthy eating into a lifestyle. Because if you guys know me from before, you know that my journey really started as a weight loss journey. I've gone through so many different naturopaths, nutritionists, weight training coaches. I have my own PT certification, and I've really dove into the world of holistic medicines and learning how to eat for nourishment rather than just being on a diet or counting calories and all of that kind of stuff and doing all of these different fads, and really made it part of my lifestyle. I lost 70 pounds. I've been able to keep it off. And that was the beginning of my whole journey, even into spirituality. And as we are approaching the winter months and everyone's immune system kind of gets kicked in the ass a little bit, it gets cold. We want the really warm and comforting foods, and probably not the healthiest foods for us in terms of nutrient dense foods. I thought this would be a really good time to release this episode and talk about how we can still get those comforting, those warming foods that nurture us and make us feel a little bit better in the cold winter time, while still nourishing our body and giving our body the nutrients that it needs, so that you don't do what I did and eat basically a lack of nutrients for a week straight and end up getting a little bit sick. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So by now, we should all know this. It should be common knowledge that our mental health is directly linked to our gut health, which is another reason why it is so important in the winter time to really be looking at what we're eating and making sure we're getting nourished properly, because we don't have a lot of sunlight in the winter unless you are blessed enough to live somewhere that is sunny and warm all year long. So our vitamin D goes down. We don't spend as much time outdoors. We don't even have as much daylight. Like, it gets light at 8 and dark around 4:30. So especially if you're working in an office, you don't get to see daylight hours. And it can really take a toll on our mental health. And like I said, mental health is directly linked to our gut health. We have millions and millions of neurons in our digestive tract that it's literally been nicknamed the second brain. Like, our gut has the nickname of being our second brain. And that's because it produces 30 different neurotransmitters that send signals directly to our brain. And even 95% of our serotonin comes from and is stored within our gut. So this could be a whole episode on its own. I'm not going to go too deep into the science behind it, but just as like an overview, it is so important to make sure that you are eating nutrient dense foods, especially in the winter, because it affects so much more than literally just your stomach. But in this episode, I'm going to give you some tips on how to make clean eating into your lifestyle rather than something that you really have to think about, or a diet that you'll do for a certain amount of time and then kind of fall back into your old habits. And the winter is a great place to start this because there's so many warm and yummy comforting foods that we can eat and we can do. And it's really exciting. So, the first tip is, and I know this is going to be probably common sense, but find things that you actually enjoy eating. So, it's been proven that if you do something because you quote unquote think it's good for you, but you don't actually enjoy it, or you don't actually believe that it's good for you, you're doing it or eating it because you've been told that, then it's not actually going to be as beneficial for you. This was talked about in an episode of the Huberman Lab. So I can link that episode below if you're interested in learning more. But basically, you need to actually enjoy what you're eating and believe, like truly believe that it's going to be good for you, or it won't have the same effects. It won't give you those same benefits. So make sure that whatever it is you're eating, you do enjoy it. Because this is the thing. If you love eating pizza like me, but you every time you eat it, you think, oh, this is not good for me. This is going to make me bloat, or I'm not going to be able to digest this properly. Then you're going to have those types of symptoms because that's what you believe is going to happen. So you have to make sure that whatever it is you're eating, you truly believe that it's going to be good for you in order for you to get those benefits from it. I'm doing a really not great job of scientifically explaining that. So I am definitely going to link the podcast episode for you guys because he goes obviously into so much more detail. But that's tip number 1. So it'll be a lot easier to stick to a more nourishing diet when you're enjoying your foods rather than if you're eating foods you don't like, but you're feeling like you're forced to eat them. The second tip is to find a cleaner version of your favorite foods. So for example, we're going back to pizza, and I know I reference pizza a lot, but that's because it's literally my favorite food. When you order pizza, like 1 calorie of pizza, or 1 slice of pizza can be anywhere from like 200 to 400 calories. It's covered in grease. Normally with the restaurants, everything's super processed. So the dough is super processed. There's lots of chemicals and stuff in the cheese, the meats, preservatives, all those types of things. And it's not actually useful for your system. So instead of ordering pizza all the time, if you really are craving pizza, there's so many different options to make it a healthier, more nourishing version for you. You can make the dough yourself, get some really clean organic flour where it's minimal ingredients, and make the dough yourself. You can buy really clean cheeses. So I know some people on here, if you're listening and you're vegan, you're going to think that the dairy cheese is bad no matter what. But actually, vegan cheese isn't that healthy either. It has so many chemicals in it, so many preservatives, even things like canola oil in them and like pea protein and that sort of stuff. Like none of that is really good for you because it's also heavily processed. So I'm talking like just go back to the basics. If you're eating regular dairy cheese, get super clean, super organic, like, you know, not a lot of additives, no preservatives, no chemicals, nothing like that. Some of them even have milk powder in them to like keep the shreds fresh. If you're getting shredded cheese, like you don't want any of that. So get the cleanest versions you can and literally make it yourself. Like make your own tomato sauce. I know this is a lot of effort, but it's definitely worth it when you eat it, and it's so good. Another option would be if you wanted to do like a makeshift pizza. So if you were to buy even just like a flatbread or a wrap or a piece of naan and like make your own pizza on top of that, that can literally take less than 5 minutes. Chuck it in the oven and they're so yummy, but they're still going to be more nourishing for your system because you're not eating the fast food, the greasy, all of the processed chemical stuff. Another option would be if you really love pasta. The wheat and the gluten in pastas can create a lot of mucus in your system. So especially if you're sick, you should not be having it. Same with dairy, you shouldn't be having it because dairy can create a lot of mucus in your system too. Or if you find like your favorite thing to eat is literally just noodles and like tomato sauce. One of the things you can do is swap your pasta for like a lentil pasta or a chickpea pasta. And again, make sure it's the clean versions where just the ingredients are like lentil flour or chickpea flour, because some of them will have rice flour or pea flour, and you don't want those. Like you want just the clean versions, and then that way you're getting your insoluble fiber, you're getting some protein in it as well, and it's not like it's going to give your body more nutrients than just a basic processed wheat pasta. Another option is to just stir fry some veg on the side, add it into the sauce, like do what you can to get like a more full rounded meal. So that's just a couple examples. So yeah, find the cleaner version of your favorite foods. Another one that's super easy actually is French fries. So it's kind of crazy, but when you go to restaurants, if you need to eat gluten-free, you can't eat French fries because most of them have gluten in them, which is the wildest thing because a French fry is literally a potato. Like, why is there gluten added into a potato? If you buy the frozen ones, you'll see on the back they've got cornstarch added and all these other chemicals when it's literally just a potato. So the easiest thing you can do is just buy a potato yourself, peel it, cut it into French fry slices, and put it in the oven or put it in the air fryer and make your own homemade French fries. So there's very simple swaps for you to be able to get the warming, nourishing foods that you love while still being able to nourish your body and not eat the fast food or the chemicals that come in these different foods. My third tip is make time for yourself to cook. And I know cooking can be very daunting, especially for people who aren't used to being in the kitchen. But if you just carve out like 2 hours a week to meal prep or to cook for yourself, it will save you so much time in the week and you'll feel so much better knowing that you're eating foods that you like and that you know where they've come from. And especially in the winter, things like curries or stews or soups, those sorts of things, they're really easy to prep because you basically just chop everything up, add it to one big dish and let it cook. You can make so much of it at a time. And then when it's a really cold, blizzardy, whatever type of day, and you just want to feel like warm and cozy inside, they're the best kind of foods to eat because they're so warm and they feel so hearty and you get so much from them. So really taking time out of your day or out of your week, even just once a week, to cook in bulk will be such a time saver for you in the middle of the week. My fourth tip is don't be scared to try new things. So experiment, have fun. When you're cooking and when you're looking at eating more nourishing foods, a lot of time we're raised eating the same types of things. So like you can go into the grocery store, go into the fresh veg or fresh fruit section, and you'll see things that you like, you're like, what is this? How do I cook with that? Like that was me with collard greens. I'd always heard about it with like American Thanksgivings and stuff, but I'd never actually seen them in person. I never knew how to cook them. It wasn't until I had a friend who actually was American who showed me how to do it. And things like spaghetti squash. Like I didn't discover the spaghetti squash until probably 4 or 5 years ago. And there's so many different foods that are out there that you might not even know that you like. Pomelo is literally my favorite fruit in the entire world, and it's only available in the winter seasons. So if you don't know what pomelo is, it's now winter, definitely go find it. Honey pomelo. But like you don't know what you don't know, right? So there's no harm in just buying something, experimenting, trying it out, seeing if you like it. If it's something like a leek or, something you can't really eat on its own, look up a really fun recipe to try with that food and see how you like it. Experimenting can be really fun. Just look at it as like a game you're playing, basically. It doesn't have to be serious. You don't have to be stressed about whether or not you're following the recipe correctly or if it's going to turn out good or bad or whatever. Because if it turns out shit or you end up not liking it, just bin it. You don't have to try it again. But you might discover a lot of new foods that you like, and it can just be a fun way to experiment. My fifth tip, which again is probably going to seem a little bit obvious, but try to avoid processed foods. So especially in the winter, like I mentioned, when our mental health is declining anyways because of the lack of sunlight and all of that sorts of stuff, processed foods is going to make it worse because processed foods have a lot of chemicals in them. If you look at the back and you see things that A, aren't natural to the food, or B, you can't pronounce or you don't know what they are, just don't eat it. It's not good for your system. It's not going to be good for your mental health. And it's just really not good. So try and avoid them. I know it's hard because basically everything in our life now is processed. Even when you look at buying a vitamin, you look at the ingredients on the back and there's gelatin in them, or there's rice flour as like a filler, and like it's just so unregulated in so many ways. So I know it can be hard, but just do your best to try and avoid processed foods because the more that you cut them out, the less you will crave them. And then you'll be able to actually crave and love the foods that you're making that are clean and nourishing, and your body won't want all of those added sugars and all that kind of stuff anymore. And then my sixth and final tip is to recreate the things that you love and try and find new meal ideas. So, one of my favorite things ever that I've kind of recreated, it's similar to tip number 2 about finding a cleaner version of your favorite foods, but this is a little different because you're not keeping it as the same. So, my favorite thing that I've ever made is my like fake apple pie dessert. And essentially, you basically take an apple, you peel it, you slice it up, you bake it in the oven with some cinnamon, some lemon juice, a little bit of water until it gets like a soft, kind of mushy apple pie filling. And then I sprinkle homemade granola on top. And sometimes I'll do like a little scoop of vanilla ice cream. And it basically tastes like you're eating apple pie, but it's so much more nourishing for you because it's homemade. There's no additives. Maybe there's some shit happening with the ice cream, depending what ice cream you use, but it's just so yummy. And when I was losing weight and I had to keep myself in a calorie deficit and I still wanted something sweet and warming and yummy, especially in the winter, this was my go-to dessert. So you can still eat the things that you love while keeping it more nourishing for you and still giving your body the good things that it wants instead of the crappy chemicals. And different things. So like stir fry, for example, is one of my favorite meals because you can turn it into so many different things. So if there's a specific vegetable you love, but you're so sick of eating it in the same way, throw it in a stir fry because stir fries, you can change up the vegetables any way you want. You can change the flavor just by changing the sauces. You can make it like 3 different dishes just by changing the base from like rice, quinoa, noodles, or to nothing. You can add eggs. You can not add eggs. You can add crunchy things on top afterwards. You can literally there's a never ending combination of flavors that you can do with stir fries. So you could eat it every single day for a week and have a different meal every single day because you've changed the sauce or the base or you've swapped out some of the vegetables. And it's so warming and so yummy. And you can have like the biggest portion ever and still not feel like you've overeaten because everything is a vegetable. Like it's just the best thing ever. So definitely recommend. And same thing, like I said before, soups are so good. If you have a vegetable that you love and you're tired of eating it in the same way all the time, turn it into a soup, turn it into a stew. Like just take what it is that you love and try and find different meal ideas for it and try and eat it in different ways so that you're still eating things you like, but it's not that repetitive same meal over and over again. Because I know some people can get really sick of the same meals. Some people love it. Some people can't eat the same thing 2 days in a row. So if you're looking at different ways to incorporate it and different ways to cook it, that can really help. And then another thing, if you're really struggling with cooking in the kitchen and you just can't really do it, try and make smoothies at some point in the day. It doesn't have to be for breakfast. I know some people really like a big breakfast. Smoothies won't cut it for that. But if you make a smoothie, you can add in things like hemp powder, greens powder, adaptogens like ashwagandha. You can add in flaxseed, chia seed, sea moss, like so many different nutrients you can put in there and then just drink it up. So your body is still getting them, but it's not like you have to figure out how to cook with them or how to create all of these different meals just to get all of the nutrients. You can literally just dump it into a smoothie and drink it, essentially. So those are my 6 little tips on how to turn clean eating into more of a lifestyle. And I'm hoping that it helps because I know in winter it can be really difficult to stay on quote unquote track and follow your goals because it gets cold. You just want to stay inside. You don't want to move. You want to be cozy under a blanket. And it's just that very much of like, I want to cocoon. I don't really want to live life outside right now because it's cold. And maybe that's very much like an Alexis problem, but all of my friends tend to feel the same way. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that a lot of you will get the same vibe as well, especially if you're living in a climate that actually does have a cold winter with snow and wind and rain and none of the fun elements that I enjoy. So I hope that this helps, and I'm sorry again for my LC moment with my voice, but I hope that it was still okay to listen to. And if you guys have any questions, again, shoot me a message on Instagram. You can either do it here at the Just Like You show, or you can do it on my personal at iam.alexischristine. I also do have a website now. You guys can go check out some of my offerings at iamalexischristine.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a review or a rating. Really appreciate it, so that we can get this podcast out to as many people as possible and just help everyone else along their journey too. I hope you guys have the most amazing rest of your day, coming from someone just like you.